Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? All right, we did it live on Instagram too. What's up, world? What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the MuseRoom. What's up, Anthony James? How are you? How you feeling? Feeling good today, my friend? Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I'm excited to be in conversation, James, with you all. Tony T, what up? What's up, my guy? How are you today? Happy Wednesday. What up, Waylon? What's good, my guy? How's everyone doing? Everybody good? Everybody good? Everybody good? What's up, Maureen? How you feel? What's up, Paul? I love when you guys hear Mika Boo. What up, Mika Boo? How are you? What up, Bonnie? Bonnie Lace. That's such a great name, Bonnie Lace. What's up, Bonnie Lace? How you feel? Good to see you all. I'm excited to be in conversation with you all today. Welcome to the Muse Room. I am so excited to be in conversation with you all today. So much to talk about. So many fascinating things that are happening in our society that I cannot wait to unpack. This is definitely going to be a different type of conversation. So buckle up a little bit and let's just kind of ease into it. You guys are probably going to hear some things that you're not used to hearing from me, and also too just in the political zeitgeist of society. But I am excited to present it and to lay out my thoughts and my thesis. I've been thinking a lot about this over the week, and this morning I woke up kind of like an aha moment. And it's like, oh, it's all coming together for me and why I'm understanding it the way that I am. What's up, Hobo Cop? How are you? Wow, I'm actually home today. Say hi to my beautiful wife, Allison. Hi, Allison. Allison, I'm a big fan of your husband. He actually has inspired this potential new series that I'm working on and outlining. So shout out to your husband, Allison. He's a great guy, very engaged politically, which I love. What's up, Anthony Gore? What up, Noob? Glad to have you in the building. I'm super excited for this question. Anthony James, question for discussion. How does the Revelation Tyler Robinson views fits with the war? Oh, all right. Anthony, you're coming in hot already. What's up, Tina? How are you? What's up, Mikey? Oh, Tina Moore. What's up, Tina? How are you? Tina is from my hometown. That's family right there. How you doing, Miss Moore? Good to see you here. Welcome. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I am excited today. Yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got for you. Is I'm excited. We're gonna have a really interesting conversation today. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are ready, but I know what I'm going to talk about. But you guys, let me know what you want to talk about, and I'm gonna get to it ahead of time. And let's see if what we're thinking about intersects with each other. Um, Obviously, yeah. So let me know before I lead the witness, as they say. Let me know what you guys are thinking about too, as well. And I'll make sure I hit it all for you guys. All right. I'm excited though. This is something I've been doing something for a minute. Anthony James came in hot. Question for discussion: how does the revelation of Tyler Robinson views fit with the war that's been talked about? I'm actually going to get into that conversation. That's probably going to be my lead. Is that one right there? But it's a war of a different type. And it's a different type of civil war that I am going to come in from, that I'm going to talk about. So yeah, I'm excited. Let me see what else. Anybody else have any questions or thoughts about? Oh, no objections, counselor. That's awesome. Waylon, I'm watching the hearings going on in DC right now. Nice. How's the hearings going? What do you? The FBI Cass Patel, right? That's what you're looking at, that one. And there's another one though that's happening today too as well. Are you watching that one, or are you watching the individual from the CDC who was removed from her position? There's two big hearings going on right now. Yeah. I mean, Washington is hot right now, so it could be either one of those two. But as they say in the church, I'm actually want to go ahead and just get started. I don't want to keep you. Recognize this is lunch hour, and we might need a little bit time to unpack this. And I actually want to make sure that I go slow with this one, so that we don't miss anything. What I'm about to discuss is very sensitive and not easy to be discussed, right? It kind of goes to freedom of speech and how freedom of speech is being examined right now in the backdrop of the Charlie Kirk assassination. Everyone feels very passionate in so many ways about what has happened. And we have our Attorney General, Pam Bondi, who's made a comment and said on a podcast with Katie Miller, Stephen Miller's wife, he is a deputy chief of staff of President Trump's administration, that she wants to criminalize hate speech and put people who spew hate speech in handcuffs, which goes against the entire First Amendment. The First Amendment protects Americans' freedom of speech. That is the beauty of our democracy. That is the beauty of this country, is that we have the right to be critical of our government, but we also do have the right to be critical of each other. Our voices are not to be chilled. We have the ability to express ourselves, and we have the right to gather. That's what makes this social experiment that is America, this great democracy, as we turn 250 next year. And so when we begin to say we want to put individuals who spew hate, put them in handcuffs, that becomes dangerous. And that is the anti-American because of the fact of it becomes relative, right? Like hate speech for you may not be hate speech for me, right? Words that may offend you may not offend me. So when you get into speech and words, it becomes about relativity. And then also too, words, it also too becomes, how should I say, about power dynamics and power structures when it comes to it. And so these are things that we have to be mindful of. And so as I am going into this conversation, I am thankful that we do have the freedom of speech because it allows us to be critical and to think differently about different things. I want to go into this dynamic. I've been frustrated, I think like many of you, within our political discourse for a while, the way our campaigns are structured. I've been really kind of exhausted by even the way that we cover politics, right? Within the media or in our family brunch or dinners that we have. It's always like this right and left, right versus left, right? And that's the way that we've always looked at political discourse from this very binary system. That has always felt outdated to me, but I didn't know how to really put it into context, into conversations. I didn't know why I was feeling this doesn't seem the answer. What we're experiencing in society, and particularly in America right now, is so complicated and is so nuanced that it can't be described as just right versus left. It can't be conservative versus liberal. And when I do my commentary, those of you familiar with my commentary, I'm all about analysis, because I believe that when you come from it from a POV of an ideology, you miss things, right? Like you miss the nuance. You miss what isn't being said. And I've been really frustrated often by that. And like, why can't other people get it? But I didn't really have the understanding, I felt, to really dive deeper until we saw what happened with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I began to discover a terminology that I'm about to get to in a second. It really is about the battle of within, like the battle in the right, the battle within the left. There are factions within both sides that are creating these subcultures and these subgroups that are creating more culture dynamics than ideology. And people are actually subscribing to culture more than they actually now are describing to ideology. I'm not saying we're there yet, but the trend is people are subscribing to culture and not ideology. I feel like I'm giving a sermon here when the pastors break down what they're about to talk about. But I want to start with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. He was the founder, as we all know, of Turning Point USA. He was one of Trump's most visible allies. A lot of individuals believe that the reason why Vice President J.D. Vance is in the office today is because of the advocacy of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was able to really capture movement within Turning Point USA that was able to create such grassroots momentum that really helped propel President Trump forward in positioning him in front of, again, these cultural subgroups, right? What Turning Point USA? They have so many different dynamics and entities of them. They have a Turning Point USA that's focused on high school. They have Turning Points USA that's focused on college. They have Turning Points USA that's focused on church. And obviously, they have the PACs, there's super PACs and grassroots and dedicated towards political movements. You tie all that together, they have created a pipeline, right? But they create a pipeline that is a cultural pipeline, where the head of that pipeline and that infrastructure was Charlie Kirk. Immediately after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, the conversation must have went like this. It must have been an immigrant, possibly. Clearly, it was somebody from the radical left. Clearly, this was Antifa activist. Maybe even this was a trans protester. These are all the things that were coming out. Even the governor of Utah made a mention that he prayed that it didn't come from within. But the truth of the matter is, the suspect that is in custody right now, Tyler Robinson, he was a 22-year-old white man from a MAGA family in Utah. No criminal history. That shocked people. That even shocked the governor, Governor Spencer Cox, who admitted that he didn't want it to be one of us, right? So if you look at this background, this white man, Utah, no criminal background, parents are conservative, and what we now know, MAGA, Trump supporters, gun family, gun owning. Tyler's been doing guns for so long. This isn't what you would think would be an assassin. In particular, an assassin who shot one of their own, which is Charlie Kirk, who's part of the conservative right. This is when we need to pause, because the question now is, what was he being influenced by, right? What was Tyler being influenced by? Most people have never heard of this term that I'm about to talk about. This was kind of allowed me to come to my aha moment about this isn't necessarily right versus left. The term groper. Have any of you ever heard of the term groper? Groyper. A groper is a follower of Nick Fuentes, who is a 27-year-old white nationalist and the far right commentator. They take their name and their mascot from a frog, right? A very large, smirking cousin of Pepe the Frog. And that became their meme identity, right? The Groper Army, as they are called, they're online based, mostly young, alienated men who become radicalized from areas of the web, like 4chan, Telegram, YouTube, TikTok, and also too a big gaming culture. They have interesting ideology. Their ideology is anti-Semitic. It's racist. It's anti-immigrant, anti-LGBTQ, dressed up in the language of Christian nationalism and family values. They made headlines in 2019 during the Groper Wars, as they was called, when Fuentes supporters disrupted Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA events, ambushing him with hostile questions about immigration, Israel, LGBTQ rights. They accused Charlie Kirk of being too soft, too much of a gatekeeper of establishment conservatism. Think about that. This far-right, alt-right group of Christian nationalism and family values thought that Charlie Kirk, who stands on Christian nationalism and family values, big supporter and ally of President Trump, was too moderate and was not conservative enough. So the Gropers, in short, they are an alt-right youth subculture. It's a mix of white nationalism, meme trolling, Christian nationalism, who see themselves as the true heirs to this idea of Trumpism, right? Now, I want to be very clear, right? Again, I'm still doing analysis here. Tyler Robinson did not come out and say, I am a groper. He did not. He hasn't spoken since his arrest, but he left behind cultural footprints that point in that direction. You look at the costume that he wore for Halloween. The photo shows him in a black Adidas tracksuit, crouching and what is known as a Slav squat. This pose is a Groper meme. Pepe the Frog in the Adidas suit. It's one of the most recognized symbols inside Groper and 4chan culture. Dressing like that for Halloween is basically wearing their uniform, right? Then, if we look at the bullet casings, police found arrows etched in the bullet casings. In particular, there was one that was upright, down, down, down. Right? That's not random, folks. That's an exact code for a video game called Helldivers 2. It is the call for the Eagle 500 kilogram bomb. It's one of the game's most destructive weapons. If you know this culture, you know that it's performative. It's politics gamified. It's exactly how gropers blend memes and violence. They also, too, look at the contradictory messaging. Some cases even had anti-fascist phrases, etched sounds contradictory, right? But in this world, extremist meme culture, contradiction is the point. Satire is the point. Gropers love layering irony, confusing people on the outside while insiders kind of see the wink and the nod. It's kind of like that one hashtag had, if you know, you know, IYKKK, if you know, you know. And then there is the target, Charlie Kirk. All the people, because Charlie Kirk has been the Gropers' public enemy. Going back to that incident where they were at odds with each other. They heckled him. They called him weak, not pro-white enough. Kirk versus Fuentes has become one of the most bitter fights inside that subculture region, that subculture of the internet. Now, the Gropers have a lot of contradictions of Gropers. Here's where it gets interesting, and here's how I want to take my time with this. Let's not forget the Gropers, they thrive on contradictions publicly. They're anti-LGBTQ defenders of so-called traditional values. But online, it's another thing, folks. Online, they fetishize femboys. They joke about trans women. They blur the line between mocking and fetishizing. That's why it's not surprising that Tyler Robinson was involved with a trans partner while being immersed in the Groper culture. Again, contradiction here, that subculture is not a weakness of theirs. It's part of the fabric of them, right? Meanwhile, you look at Nick Fuentes himself. He's more visible than ever. Since thinking about Elon Musk, I'm going to get to Elon in a minute too as well. Since Elon Musk reinstated his X account, his followers shot from 140,000 to 750,000. His Rumble show quintupled in viewership. Clips of him flood conservative social media sites. He's not just attacking the left, he's attacking Trump. He's called him incompetent, compromised. He's trashed Vice President J.D. Vance as a fake candidate built by Peter Thiel. He is even sparred with Tucker Carlson. He's positioned himself as the true heir to Trumpianism, unfiltered, unapologetic, and openly extremist, right? So when you really step back, the story isn't left versus right. Because on the right, you got MAGA loyalists like Trump and Kirk. You have the Gropers founders like Fuentes. You have your Christian nationalists. You have your tech libertarian billionaires like Elon Musk, like Peter Thiel. And the shrinking, really what I'm calling the shrinking of the old guard of traditional Republicans. Think the Mitt Romneys, think the legacies and the lineage of John McCain. But on the left, you've got same type of different subgroups and subfactions, right? You have your progressives, you have your socialists, you have your Biden Democrats, you have your Obama Democrats, you have your intersectional activists like Black Lives Matter intersecting with trans rights, and you also too have your technocrats. All these different factions, all underneath this umbrella of right versus left, right? This is no longer two sides anymore. It's multiple tribes often fighting each other harder than the supposed other side. This is why when I started learning more about the Gropers and diving into the research of culture, that was kind of like the aha moment of, no wonder I've been thinking this is not binary. This is more nuanced. But I didn't have that linchpin of the gropers to take me deep down this rabbit hole of research and to really understand like the subculture in the subtext. And you look at it, you think about it is the accelerant is culture. It's TikTok, it's YouTube, it's Discord, it's the pipeline memes, it's games, it's irony, it's politics, down like the algorithm. So when you get this dynamic and you get this culture and you bring all these entities together, this is why you can't say that things are right versus left, right, anymore. This is why it is so much more nuanced than where we are. I'm going to take a pause right there because that was a lot to absorb. That's a lot to kind of take in. That is new. I'm just curious to know, what are your thoughts on this? Like, what do you think? What do you want? Anthony James, can we stop calling that event an assassination? Why do you want to stop calling that event assassination? I need more context. Give me the context of that one. What do you think that is about? Ramon Starr, what's up, Ramon? Mike Muse, I'm excited to hear your take on all this and even what you thought of Charlie Kirk. You thought of him and his political views. I hope you heard me say in the beginning, Charlie Kirk was able to assemble a very pipeline organization with Turning Point USA. In terms of how he created high school programs, collegiate programs, church outreach programs, and also to his grassroots movements for his political dynamics and his thoughts. When you think about how I just tied in what this subculture is and what this ideology is, you're able to see how he was able to penetrate the minds of so many individuals, particularly when you start them at such a young age. Right. And particularly when you're on college campuses and you're still learning and you're still finding your voice, but you're standing in front of a figure such as Charlie Kirk, it can't help but leave an impression on you. His political views were very misogynistic, anti-Black, the racist, anti-LGBTQ, very much family values, Christian nationalism. We saw the world differently. I definitely don't see the world like that. And I think that is my views on Charlie Kirk's views. It's obvious what his views are, but for me, that isn't the point of where we are, right? Like, that is why I feel like I just outlined everything I outlined, because we are so stuck in this right versus wrong, left versus right, conservative versus progressive. That's not any of this dynamic. And when we start to think about it, before I talk about raising the temperature, before we even start thinking about where do we go to next, one, we have to, I'm not gonna say we have to stop with the labeling, because that's too Pollyannish of me, because everybody will have to begin to understand and see this political landscape the way that I do. But you can have people who are anti-immigration, but pro-gay rights. You can have individuals, and we do. There are people out there. This is part of this subculture. You have individuals that are anti-capitalism, but use social media to advance their causes that they are frustrated with the capitalist elites for, right? You have individuals like these tech libertarians who are, anti-wokeness, but also too anti-Israel, right? And so you're seeing so much intersectionality that is happening with this, that this is how we get to the point now where it is more about culture than it is about political ideology. And you have social media now, and I'm not blaming social media, right? Like, you have social media that allows these individuals to create silos of organization, silos of create community, silos to be in community with those who are like-minded with them. You have the discords, right? You even have gaming culture, right? That allows people to send signals, and you rather be more, we're seeing now, this isn't finite yet is a key word. You're seeing the movement now of individuals are subscribing to that. wanting to be a part of that type of movement, that type of culture, right? They are seen in that space and place where they're not necessarily seen. A party doesn't move them, right? This is also too, we're also getting to the point where it becomes like fandom, right? You know how you have Beyonce as the Beehives, you know, the Ariana Grandes. I think they're called the Army. What is the Ariana Grande's team called? But Rihanna has a Navy. Taylor has a Swifties. You see where I'm going with this, right? You have your crypto bros. You have the Bernie Sanders wing of the parties, right? Like you have your AOCs. So you have these different fandom groups, right? And you have these fandom groups of people who follow like new digital media, like podcasters, right? Who hang on like to their every word, right? So people are more subscribing to culture and than your ideology. And so when you think about that, the questions I have is, does the way that we cover politics need to change? The way that we have elected leaders, do they need to start thinking differently? The way that we're so beholden to left and right, is that model going to be consistent? If you're looking to bring in new voters, if you're looking to bring in new people to the discourse of democracy, if you're looking to really understand the why and the how, right? Steph says ideology, culture, and subtext is so important in this conversation, and many are just being reactionary instead of thoughtful. Exactly. Thank you, Stephanie, for seeing that, right? Like that's where I really wanted to highlight today. I appreciate you, Mike, for giving us a thoughtful approach. Yes, thank you, Steph, because it's easy to people want to hear my views on Charlie Kirk. What is he? Again, fight, right? Viewpoints. And then I want to hear what you want to say, and I want to disagree with you. And here's why. Arrgh, right? Or I want to hear what you say, and I agree with you. Yes, 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 yes. And where does that leave us? Nowhere. Because we're not understanding the why, right? We're not understanding the how we got here. I'm not saying that is right or wrong, but we just need to have other dynamics adding to this conversation to advance how we got here. And before I address Shay, I do want to leave that up there, Kat, for a second, is it kind of goes to this idea of debate, the way we're debating each other, right? Like the way that Charlie Kirk proved me wrong tour. And he's not the only one. I'm not even going to call out names here. I don't want to give people a platform here, but other individuals from in the traditional binary sense on both sides, they're enjoying like this, put a camera in front of me, give me an audience in front of me, and let's have this reactionary debate and let's go at it. What sense does that make? Because you're not going to change your viewpoint, the person who's hosting this forum. And the person who's challenging it, they're not going to change their viewpoint on the spot. And then you're in front of this audience. So now you're adding another layer of entertainment, right? I just finished watching the Canelo Terry Crawford fight from Las Vegas on. I don't know if you guys are boxing fans, but we love a good punch, right? We love a hard hit. We like to go, ooh, ah, yo, that's crazy. Spar, get him, especially when you get down like to the further rounds in the back, you're looking for that knockout punch. Like, you don't really care about the health of the other opposer. You don't care about the boxer who you don't want to win's health, right? Like you care about the beatdown, right? You care about the takedown. That's how I see these political get at me, prove me wrong, argue with me, right? Like you're bringing up all this tension between two factions. What do you expect? I'm not saying what you expect in terms of what Charlie Kirk and Charlie Kirk, but what do you expect to see when you start getting all this animosity? And at the end of the day, these are revenue streams, people. These are economic models for those people who are hosting these type of events. So if they're going to hold they're going to have an event they're able to make money from. They're going to invite their followers who subscribe to their ideology because of subcultures, because of subtext. They know their followers follow them because they believe that the sky is yellow. The sky is yellow. So they invite people who know the sky is yellow. If someone from the audience comes up to them to try and prove the sky is blue, they're never going to agree, even if they know the sky is blue, because everyone in the audience believes with them that the sky is yellow. The moment that you say the sky is blue, you lose that audience, you lose that following. They're not coming to the next get at me conversations, right? Because now you're them, those, and others. Americans, we have got to see eventually what the economic model and structures are. We're so anti-capitalism now. We're so anti-mainstream media because of ads and revenues, etc. We're not even understanding that new media, digital media, this podcast, these get at me tours, it's the same economic model. They need the clicks, the likes. They need you to share and keep sharing. And they need you to stay mad. They need you to stay angry. They need you to stay passionate. Send it to your DMs. Yo, homie, you see this? Yo, bro, did you see this? Girl, did you see this? They got them. What they say now, they ate, right? They need that to keep the economic models going. This is why we're not advancing conversations. This is why people are just stuck in rage, right? And this is why we're assessing this now, this event from a place of left and right. That's not where we are. Waylon, it's creating entertainment. It's not about an exchange of ideas. Exactly. Shay Cazares. Did I say that right? Cazares? Shah Cazares. Let me sound out my words here. I like your name, first of all, Shah. Thanks for waiting. Mike, what do you think about the recent cancellations, firing, expulsion, etc. of journalists, student opponents, and those speaking? Woo! Shah, you said something. The LA Times, I don't know if you guys saw this, but the LA Times did a really great article. I believe it was over the weekend, and they outlined how many journalists have been fired and people in corporate America about their reaction to Charlie Kirk, right? It goes back to how I started the conversation out about how free speech is one of the most important things that is this American democracy, that this is this American experiment. Free speech is so important. And that hate speech should not be put in handcuffs. Charlie Kirk didn't want that. Charlie Kirk even said that there is no legal term for criminalization of hate speech. Charlie Kirk was a big supporter of the freedom of speech in the First Amendment. And so those individuals who are followers of Kirk or who are acting out on behalf of Charlie Kirk's legacy, I don't think they even understand what his legacy was when it comes to freedom of speech. I think it's unfortunate. I don't know every case, so I can't speak to it directly, but it becomes a slippery slope when journalists are nervous to do their jobs and to be critical and to give analysis. That's when you get to the chilling of speech. I also too want to say journalists has a responsibility to be accurate with information and to not editorialize any information. It's important when you have a pen or typewriter, when you write for print, when you have a microphone for radio, when you sit in front of a television for TV, it's important that you think about the analysis and you are respectful to the cause and to life, right? So both can be true. All can be true. Protector of freedom of speech. Hate speech should not be criminalized. You should not be in fear of losing your job for being critical or giving analysis. But you also too need to be responsible with what you're saying, right? Again, because far too often, again, we get in front of these microphones and we want to go, everyone wants to go viral. I'm going to break characters for a second. I can't begin to tell you, sometimes I interview guests, how nervous they are for the get your gotcha questions, right? I can't tell you how many times guests have left my studio and they said, wow, that was real journalism. Wow, I enjoy that. You can tell when my guests begin to feel safe because they're so used to getting that clip. We got to get a clip. We got to go viral. We got to clip it. We got to clip it. We got to get on all the blogs. We got to clip it. We got to put it on Instagram. So even journalists, I'm calling out journalists too as well, had to be mindful about the erosion of trust, not just with the American public, but also to be careful with the erosion of trust of guests, right? To ensure that we can get the right guests who can feel comfortable having this nuanced exchange. I knew coming in here, this wasn't going to be easy conversation for me to talk about gropers and trans and intersectionality and sub-factions because nobody is talking about this, right? Like how Tyler Robinson can be a white young man from Utah, Christian, MAGA family with a trans person and can assassinate an individual who is Trump. Like, then you understand that, right? So even I was like, I got to be mindful of this. Christina Johnson, how do you explain to your high school senior that they should interact with content on social media regarding topics like Charlie Kirk when everyone else is? I'm assuming, Christina, you're a parent. And so what I would say to you is you need to talk to I would have a conversation with your child and talk to them about what are their thoughts on Charlie Kirk, right? What is it that they want to say, right? I don't think you should suppress their voice. Ask them what they thought. Help them don't help them formulate their own opinion, but help them find give them the structure for them to come to a conclusion. So if they have an opinion, let me use a neutral example. If they say, I'm looking at my iced espresso here. Y'all know I love coffee. If I'm looking at my iced espresso here and say this is your senior, you have to say, well, why do you like iced coffee over iced tea? You keep talking about iced coffee, and you hate iced tea. Why do you hate iced tea? Let them answer. Keep asking them, well, why? And then say, where are you getting that from? What is your source, right? Find me some examples. All right. Why do you love iced coffee so much? Oh, because it keeps me up. Why does it keep you up? Why do you think the caffeine is keeping you up? Is there another alternative to caffeine? Those are the type of exercises that we have to do, not just with our children, but we can do that as adults. Adults are not doing this. The reason why I love doing this, Christina, and audience, is because it's so much of the Ask Mike on Sway in the Morning show where I cause you to call me up and ask me anything, right? And I'm so used to taking these rapid fire questions that are not pre-canned or anything. It's because I've learned so much about the American audience and American community and citizens, right? Like the critical thinking is lacking. And I don't say that to be astute, but I'm noticing that we're not thinking, we're reactionary. I have a good friend, I'm sure she won't mind saying this. She texts me in a panic, and I'm going to get to your question, Roman. She texts me in a panic. She says, oh my gosh, Mike, look at this. She sent me a screenshot of an Instagram post from one of the popular blogs. Trump administration is cutting $350 million in HBCU funding. She called me. My mom is upset. My sister's upset. What are we doing? I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was like, check it again. I was on a call. I said, cite the sources and double check. I already knew what it was. I needed her to double check the sources. After I got off my call, I called her. I don't know if anybody's on your research yet, but $250 million are being removed from Hispanic serving institutions. I don't want to get into a conversation about that dynamic, right? But the point is of the accuracy. It wasn't $350 million from HBCUs, but that's what the headline said. That gets people going, right? It's about funding across the board government. And we can talk about that another time. The Supreme Court is looking at this and yada, 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 right? In terms of executive power, executive authority over congressional authority and power with the purse. He's taking away foreign aid. I mean, all the things. We'll talk about that later. But you see what I'm saying, Christina, is that we have to even be objectives as adults. All right, Roman, our cities and fire police departments are fighting over whether to have staff flags and for what reason. All right, good question. This is coming from an executive order that President Trump did. And I'm going to be very clear, every president has the ability to do this. This is part of the privilege of an American president. American presidents have so many privileges, right? Maybe now you guys start paying attention when it comes to voting and listening to these debates, not to be entertained, but to be informed on positions, character, context. So part of the privilege of being an American president is that they get the chance to issue an executive order to put half-staff, the American flags in moments of crisis, moments of mourning, and political significant moments. That technically expands what is mandatory of all federal buildings, right? So if you have a federal building in your state, in your city, it has to be at half-staff. What comes is that it's suggested that states do the same, but states are not required by law to do that. This is what I've been talking about here in the MuseRoom, the Mike Muse Show, the difference between, I just did on the Mike Muse Show on Saturday, the difference between federalism, what is federalism, and states, federal versus state. States, the federal cannot command things of states over certain issues. When you issue an executive order, that's a federal dynamic. The states don't have to comply. It's suggested. So then states had to come to their own determination on whether or not they were going to lower the flag at half staff. So you have some states that did, and you have some states that did it. And so that hopefully that answered your questions, Roman, about that and the political dynamic of that. There you go. You got it. Yes, forever prosperous. Trump is now trying to sue the New York Times for $15 billion. Yes. This is going over. This is a part. Trump is, again, a very interesting president. I do believe when we are far removed from this presidency, and I'm thinking 15 years out, 20 years out, his second term will be studied and analyzed more than his first term. When you remove your emotions from it and you remove whatever passions you have, or passions because you love them or passion because you don't like them, you're going to be able to see that this was a very pivotal moment for American democracy, but also a pivotal moment for the American presidency. I think we're seeing now previous presidents, Republican and Democrat, the constraints that they had on how they chose to govern inside the Oval Office. I remember President Obama said something publicly where the Oval Office doesn't make you or shape you. It brings out whatever is in you. Republicans have often too said about the Oval Office that the weight of the office moderates you, right? The weight of the office gives you restraint because of the fact that part of it because legal. You didn't want to have inquiries be called before subcommittees in the House, special counsels. Think the Starr investigation on Bill Clinton. So you were afraid of the legal liability. When the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Trump that a president couldn't be held liable for what was done inside the White House as an official business, that removed that weight. So you take that into consideration. Then you take into consideration the way that President Trump uses tariffs. Typically, presidents have used tariffs in order to modulate particular economic sectors, industries that are being challenged by foreign investments or foreign goods that are coming over here. So you put a tariff on it to make that foreign good much more expensive than American good in order to level out the playing field to give the American the upper advantage. That's really what tariffs is partly for. President Trump has come in and used tariffs as part of his toolkit in order to advance policy, legislation. This is technically why President Trump is having a state visit with the United Kingdom right now, and was with I don't know what time it is over there now, but was having dinner with the king, in part because the prime minister issued him an invitation because they wanted to make sure that the United Kingdom didn't get impacted with tariffs. So this is more persuading to Trump's persona and what he likes. As a result, we don't see major tariffs with the UK right now. So he's been able to issue tariffs. The next part about President Trump is that he's not afraid in two ways to talk to media. He's very open. What you can't deny is that the president is very transparent, right? Whatever that word means to you. He's often on Truth Social, let us know what he's thinking in real time. He doesn't miss an opportunity to talk to the press pool when he's walking out to the helicopter in press avails. And also, two, he is not afraid to sue media companies when he feels like the coverage isn't right and when he feels like they're not being truthful to his standard and when he wants to hold them liable. So he uses this as part of his toolkit that he does in the way that he does tariffs. And so this is partly why he has gone after media companies so often. And you know what's the interesting part about it is he has a right. Every American citizen has a right to go for it with a lawsuit. Now, a court system can reject your lawsuit, but every American has a right to sue. Every American has a right to try and hold someone liable, right? And so President Trump is exercising his right. The question really remains is what happens? How does media respond, right? Like how do journalists respond, right? How's New York Times going to respond? Anthony says this administration is 100% in alignment with journalistic neutralizations. That's the opinion that you're stating. I think they would say different. They would probably say that this is them fighting back on their narrative. Also, too, I'm gonna let you into a little bit of a secret here. Wink, wink, very satirical. No president likes the press. I mean, period. Republican, Democrat. No president, whether you're Republican or Democrat, likes the press. All right? I just want to say it out there. The difference with this one, this president, is that this president isn't afraid to push back on the press in a way that we haven't seen before. That's what I'm saying. He's just a different type of president. He is literally reimagining what this Oval Office is. And he has a right. He has a constitutional right. I think we're learning the power of this Oval Office. I think we're really learning what the Oval Office can do. We've always said the Oval Office has the ability to move the markets. I think you guys are recognizing that just with the stroke of a pen or the commentary. But we see the markets move all the time based upon just the Truth Social. Maureen Sullivan, I appreciate how you broke it all down. The first person I've heard be able to do that so clearly or even try in such detail. Thank you, Maureen. Again, I'm not afraid to go for it. I am not afraid to try it. I'm not afraid to state it. I'm not afraid to go for it. Again, it's not easy, but I've never done things easy, right? Kat always knows this as well. I wish I came on television and radio with a certain ideology. Do you know how much easier it would be for me? I can just sit back, drink my espresso right now, listen to comments, and you know what I can say? You crazy. That ain't right. Why not? Say something so irrational. That has no data. That has no research. And you know what? There will probably be 10,000 people on here right now because that's fun. Take them down. Take down the man. You know what I mean? I wish I could do that. That would be so much more fun for me. You know how stressed I am on the night before the MuseRoom? I want to get it right. I want to make sure it's evidence-based. I want to make sure it's data. And I'll even give you behind the little BTS. Even I was really trying to I was even thought about, all right, Mike, you got to be careful how you make this leap between Tyler Robinson being a Groper because he has not spoken. So if he has not spoken, how can I make that leap? And I said, you got to find the evidence, right? So that's why I laid out all those cookie crumbs. You know how hard that is? I had never heard of Helldiver 2. I don't play video games, but I had to dive into the gaming world to understand what it was. And I saw the news up, up, down, down. I was like, what is that? Right? It would have been easy for me to just ignore it. Like, oh my God, those bullets were crazy, right? Y'all see them bullets? Yo, that's crazy. No. The hard part was having to dive into gaming culture. Yeah, I didn't know what Helldiver. I know what that bomb meant. I had to learn it so I can teach it to y'all. So now you know it. So we can help advance this conversation. That's harder. Coming out here doing being an analyst is so much more harder. I wish I could say I was X party contributor, X party, whatever, expert, strategist, whatever they call themselves. That's easy. You don't even think. You get up, you look at the talking points of the day, and you fight. So thank you, Maureen, for recognizing that. And sorry, I went on the soapbox with that one. I had to get that off my chest. Waylon, there has always been a form of propaganda when it comes to media. Recently, it's gotten worse. The amount of journalism being done needs to increase. I don't disagree. I'm very critical of media. And I'm also insert hot take. Man, y'all about to get me in trouble today. I can feel it. It's even with podcasts and new media. And here's why I say that. New media doesn't have the burden that we do in what is called legacy or traditional media. When you think about like broadcast network, when you think about like platform I'm on, ABC, NBC, you think about CBS, SiriusXM, there is standards. We have departments. I'm going to pull back the BTS just a little bit, but we have standards and legal. What we say has to be so accurate as possible when we present it for the American television, so that we're not held liable, we're not held in a lawsuit. Plus, two, it's our duty when we sign up for these jobs to report accurately. New media doesn't have to do that. When you do your podcast from your home, your hotel, your kitchen, outdoor in the patio, in a park, there is no standards department over you. There is no legal department over you. There is no fact base that you have to say. You don't negotiate hour, 2 hours before you go on air about a word. You make sure the attributions are right, right? Like that's what the difference is. And what's happening now is so many people are turning away from legacy and traditional media because they're enjoying the new media dynamic. But the new media is allowed to play fast and loose with the truth on all sides, not both sides. You heard what I said, because now we know it's nuance on all sides. These libertarians, these technocentrists, the gropers, they don't have a standards and legal department. They can say whatever they want. And you know what? Y'all believe them. I said it. Y'all believe them because they got like 1 million followers. Yeah. I'm even going to say something real quick. I'm not going to say this person's name. I was going to see a nutritionist. The nutritionist told me that he wanted to put me on testosterone therapy. I'm like, all right, I'm down to listen, but we hadn't done any blood work at that point. We had done nothing. And I was like, why do you say that? He's like, well, you know what? Joe Rogan says on his podcast all the time, and he has like a gazillion followers, so it must be true. Are you kidding me? You are a doctor, bro. That was the last time I went to go see him. People mistake followers for authenticity in authentication. It's not. I'm not hating people who have 1 billion followers. Go off. But you get 1 billion followers because you got to play a little bit loose with things, right? And that's just a great example. A medical doctor got a piece of advice from a podcaster because the podcast has 1 gazillion followers. I'm not knocking Joe at all. But I'm just saying that was a sort. He didn't cite a science journal, y'all. He cited a podcaster about a health recommendation he was making for me. Wow. Last point on this, I'm gonna go to Candida. I was even doing something with the Monday Morning Quarterback on Good Morning America 3. I'm calling Kat out real quick. And I was even trying to do, we had to make sure we're accurate on everything. Although it was fun segment, accurate. I had found like this, either a study or a poll. I can't remember what the study or a poll was. And standards came back to me and was like, absolutely not. I was like, wait, what? They was like, that poll isn't TV worthy. I was like, but it's X publication. It's like X Institute. They didn't care. It's not TV worthy. Had to scramble. Are you kidding me? So that is what traditional legacy is. So all that to say in a very long way, responsibilities on traditional legacy media and journalists is also true. It's about the American public holding new media accountable too as well. How about that? How about y'all hold them to accountable? How about you ask them, where's that source at? Where is that data point at? All right. Candida. Y'all agree with that? Let me know. Candida Huerta. You guys have some great names today. I applaud you for everything you do. I need more friends like you who love to dissect the news like this. P.S. I need a Mike Muse dictionary too, because those words sometimes. Thank you so much. I will let you guys into a little bit of a little secret. I'm just pulling all the things back. I don't know what's in the coffee today. I love a good conjugation. I'm going to put it out there. I speak with a rhythm in my head. I do. I have a melody, and I will put a ly or ing on any word. I don't even care, right? Like if I got to talk about my lip balm, I would say something like, if I need to say something before, I'm like, that is so lip balming or lip balming. Yeah, I mean, if it has to fit into the melody that I'm trying to do. All right, folks. Hit me with some of your best shots. We got 154. I do want to talk about some Tom Brady for a second. And I do want to talk about how and Cardi B and Ed Sheeran, talk about that intersection. So I'll do one more if we got. I'll either read a comment or a question. If not, I'm going to go on to Anthony James. Excellent job keeping your opinions out of the analysis, and thank you for the info. Thank you, Anthony. I really appreciate it. All right. Man, I can't say off hot topics here. What's going on with Tom Brady? Tom Brady is a whole walking contradiction. Go Blue, Michigan man. Go. Love him. Tom, you know you're my boy. I love you. They've sent me some things previously, full canon, full disclosure. But Tom, I still got to question you a little bit. The idea that you could be a broadcaster and a part owner of a team and be in owners' meetings and coaches' meetings and still be able to broadcast and then be with the opposing team the following week, that's wild, Tom. What, Tom? You know that's wild. Tom, you know there's a conflict of interest, right? I get it. We're Michigan men. You're a Michigan man. You're upstanding in your integrity, but transparency is key in this world, Tom. I just called out all the journalists for not being transparent and let me know what the data sources are. So I need you to be transparent. And how y'all feeling about that? I don't know. I still love Tom. And Tom, you're doing so much better this season too with the broadcasting commentary. Listen, what's it, Kat? You got to do the sandwich model. You got to start with something positive, say critical, and then end with a positive. That's the sandwich. That's the sandwich, Tom. Tom, Michigan man, you're great. Love you. The meat part, Tom, you're wrong. Conflict of interest. Stop doing that. The bottom part, the bread. You're doing great with the commentary, though. Love you. All right. Intersectionality between Cardi B and Ed Sheeran. I bet you guys were not expecting me to put those intersectionalities together. Shout out to the Sway in the Morning team and crew. Got a chance to interview Cardi B. That interview drops on Friday morning. Make sure you tune in for that one. That's going to be another banger for the archive for Sway in the Morning. But I'm really loving the way that Cardi B is doing her rollout and her promotion. I feel like this is like Street Team via circa 1996, but make it 2025, right? And also, too, I love what Ed Sheeran is doing, too, as well with the intimacy. And Kat made a good point. Kat said that, you know, talking about Ed Sheeran, talking about his albums, like my album won't do, you know, big streams like first week or first day, but by the end of the year, it'll be like in the billions, right? Because of the buildup of this audience and the connectivity of his audience and the stickiness of his audience and the way that his audience responds to him and the way that he's willing to do bars and pubs and low-key spots and low-key venues versus the big massive stage. Cardi B, I saw her out on the streets selling her CDs, like on the sidewalks with the inserts. I thought that was great. The way she is going to bodegas, the way she's really trying to connect intimately, and also too doing like all the morning shows, like all the radio shows, like right. So she's doing big, high, and low. But I think it's about going back to this intersectionality of Cardi and Ed. Reconnect with your fans, taking it back to the grassroots level, taking it to base level, connecting with your fans authentically, trying to find the through point for it. I think that model worked for Taylor Swift. If you think about it, all the Swifties out there, remember Taylor Swift used to do sleepovers back in the day, right? First, when she first started. I mean, that was a hell of a way to connect with her fans and with her audiences. There was something too, a way that Beyonce did. I was watching some previous like archival footage of all the ways that Beyonce was out there promoting her albums. Like there wasn't a talk show she didn't miss. She was up early in the mornings doing radio promo and TV and all the way at night. I remember seeing her doing a live performance on The View. That's crazy. Not only The View even does artist performances anymore. And you know what I mean? So it's just like what she was willing to do to turn that out. Artists, they are lazy. I just said it. Artists, they are lazy. I repeat, artists today are lazy. They hope to go viral. They hope to get a TikTok dance. They hope to go on one maybe nighttime programming, one morning show, and think we're going to support and watch. Nah, you need to do more. Actors getting lazy too as well, man. Y'all think that we're going to just watch a movie? No, I need you out there. You know what I mean? Like there's some actors out there who only like would do one press stop. What? With limited avails. What? You know how many options we have right now? Do you know what I have to give up in my apartment to go to a movie theater? I have to bypass Netflix, Apple TV, Amazon, ABC, Hulu, Disney Plus, my couch with my Uber Eats, my Postmates, right? To get up and go to a movie theater. And you don't want to do my show? Not personal, but like you don't want to do other ways to get the movie out there. I think we're losing sight of that, but we want everybody back in the theater, but you got to be willing to do it in the work and put in the work. So shout out to all the actors out there willing to do the work, and shout out to all the music artists that are out there. Waylon, they're showing the politicians what they need to be doing. Exactly. Audience, I love y'all. This was so much fun. It's 2:00. You know, I don't keep you. I like for this to be a lunch hour from 1 to 2. Get in, get out. What a fun time. I hope you guys learned. We're going to put some movement in the chat for the Mike's movement about how to protect free speech So come back to the YouTube page when this video gets posted. I am Mike Muse. Hit me up on Instagram and social media. I am Mike Muse, M-U-S and Sam E. For more questions, let's keep the conversation going. Let me know your thoughts on this. As I always say in a very cheesy way, I'm about to end the stream now. Thank y'all, folks. Thank y'all for rocking with me. So much fun. See you next Wednesday. Peace. End the stream.